Sakartika, you could, I hope you could ping that Instagram page. They could follow, right?
Sure, Pawan, we'll do that. Please share your
Oh,
screen and continue that.
okay, okay. So with respect to today's agenda, we'll talk. We'll deal with few problems which are asked in MNCs, or you could say big companies, right? The top companies, and they'll like you'll be able to learn something good from that, right? Let me share my screen and talk about it. Okay, I hope my screen is visible, and we'll be executing these queries in MS SQL server. Okay, so let us discuss the first problem. Okay, we'll solve few problems through which we'll be learning the things practically. So here is a problem where we have a table which is called as famous table, where we have only these two columns, which is user ID as well as follower ID. Now let us understand the question. What is the question? So there is this table with two columns. This user ID has a particular follower ID. These follower IDs also have some users of some, Facebook, Meta, or you could say some other companies, you could understand. So what we need to find out is what is the famous percentage of each user. For each user, we need to find out the famous percentage. What is the famous percentage? You could see that number of followers a user has divided by the total number of users on the platform. It is a simple calculation, right? So is anyone well versed with the querying part? Would anyone try to give a try? Would like to give a try? It is a simple question where you can try it out. I would like to know your approach. Anyone? What we want is we need to find out the calculation where for the
Select user ID.
okay,
Select user ID, comma follower ID by
okay,
sum of
okay, wait. Let me type it. Select user ID, comma follower ID. Okay,
divided by, or we
okay,
can write a subquery.
okay. So okay, give me the logic that what you are applying. I'll try to
Okay,
understand.
first you will get the sum. Basically, we can get the sum.
Okay,
Sum, sum of the followers IDs from the table, and then we
okay,
use this sum to divide from the subquery. We divide it by follower ID to get each record percentage.
okay. So your approach is correct, but there is little logic that you are missing. I'll tell you what you are missing. I'll tell that both the approaches. I'll use both CTE. You can subquery. You can transform it. CTE why I do want to use is so that you could understand it, so that the query is more readable. Okay. So first, if you understand, the user IDs and follower IDs might repeat and might not repeat. Okay, so to avoid that situation, what we can do is we can use the set operator called union. Okay, so that we can find the distinct users. So to find the distinct users, what we can do, I'll create a CTE called distinct underscore users. I'll write as. I hope you are, those who are familiar with SQL. This is how we'll write CTE, common table expression. So within that, I'll write my query, which is our user ID. I'll call it as users. Okay. From which table? You can call it as from famous table. What I'll do union. What does union do? It will remove all the duplicates, right? I'll write select. I'll write follower underscore ID. Like, can we call this follower IDs also users? Yes, right? They are also users. From which table? Famous. Okay. Do anyone have any doubt? Okay. Hmm. So this follower ID also we call it as users from famous table. If I union this, you can understand these are the unique users or you could say distinct users, right? So there are 13 users which are distinct users. What I'll do is I'll use these distinct users to count the total number of unique users, right? So that is my denominator part. I hope you are able to understand. Next, what I'll do, I'll create one more CTE for counting the follower count. I'll write something called follower count. I'll write as what I'll do. I'll select user ID, user underscore ID. I'll count that particular follower ID, right? For user, for each user ID, I want to find the follower ID. I'll call it as followers. From which table? Famous table. Group by, since we used count, what do we need to do? Group by, what is the ID? User underscore ID, right? So if you are aggregating, you need to give the respective column which is present in the group by. So these are two different CTEs which we made it. Now immediately after CTE, what do we do next? Anyone? Immediately after writing CTE definition, what do we do? Anyone?
We need to select the result.
Select. Right. You're correct. So we need to select it. So what I'll do, I need to select that particular follower thing, right? So what I'll do is I'll write, from the follower count table, follower underscore count, I'll select the user underscore ID. Okay, comma. Here I'll write the next column which I want. Okay, just to make it short, what I'll do, anyway, we are trying to use that particular follower count table, right? So I'll bring that follower count table. Okay. And I'll just I'll just name it as maybe FC. So to keep it short, I can use this aliases. I hope you are aware of it. So I'll write fc.user ID. And what I'll write? fc.followers. What is followers? This is the count, right? Followers multiplied by 100. Why am I multiplying 100? To get the percentage value, right? What I can divide it with? I can divide it with the total, right? What is the
Total
total?
number of followers.
Total number of followers. How do we get that? I can write a query. Select count star from which table? This one, right? CTE. Distinct underscore users. Okay. I can give some name to it. What I'll call is something like famous underscore percentage. Okay. Is the query done? Right? It is done. Now we shall execute. If you see, this is the user ID and this is the famous percentage. Right? So this is how you could calculate the respective percentages. Is this query understandable, everyone?
Yeah. Yes.
So
Yes.
in line number 18, why are we taking count?
Okay. If you could see user IDs and followers, they might be similar. Count is that is what the requirement is, right? Okay. So you could see we need to count the number of followers as a user has divided by the total number of users on the platform. Follower is also user is also user, right? Is it
Okay.
understandable? Yes. So it will be little tricky, but that is how in that like they'll try to confuse you. Okay. Is this logic understandable, everyone? Anyone who has doubt in this? Okay. Those who are feeling little difficulty in this, I'll try to show you some little smaller method, right? I'll call it as other method. Now let us understand this. This will be little easier for you. I'll create a CTE. Okay. Let me write the query. I'll select user underscore ID. Right. What I'll do is I'll try to write count of follower underscore ID, right? That is what you want to see, right? User and the count of follower ID. What I'll do, I'll call it some, short name as CNT. You can call any name. From which table? Famous table. What do we need to group by? Group by user ID, right? So if I try to count it directly, what would be my output? There would be 8 rows, right? You'll be able to see the count. Now what I'll do, I'll try to write as with CTE as, and I'll try to enclose within parenthesis. After that, what I need to write? Select user underscore ID, right? So I'll use the CNT and try to make the calculation, right? CNT into, I can write simply 1.0 divided by, I can similarly write select count of user underscore ID from which table? Famous table. Okay, why am I multiplying with 1.0? So that I could get the values in float, right? So earlier what you have seen percentages, it was in integer, right? So now what I want to do is I want to bring into float. Even this values, if I want to bring it into float, you can just mention 100.0. Now if I execute and see, you can see the output. You're able to see the value in decimal values. If you want, you can round it off, like you can use round function and round it. It is not a problem, right? Now this thing I'm trying to multiply with 1.0 so that you can get the value in decimal values. Okay, so what is this? This is your famous percentage. So what I need to do, I'll close one more parenthesis. I'll try to that I'll try to enclose this within parenthesis. I'll multiply with 100. Okay, or you can keep it 100.0 also, so that you can get from. So from which table? CTE, right? So this is a little shortened query. You'll get the same output. You see, we are able to get the same output. What did we do? Either you can take the user and count of follower ID directly. You can, divide that particular thing. Or what you can do is you find the distinct users and then you can try to do the respective calculation. Okay, when will it go wrong? If at all, if any particular user IDs are missed, then this particular one, bottom query will go wrong. Right, everyone?
Yes, yes. Is that
Others?
goes on when there are user ID is not present in famous, right?
So follower ID, or you could say this
Both have the
when you're
same number of users, then this will work. But
if there are similar
Mhm.
kind of users, then it will work.
Yes, yes.
Okay, others are you able to understand? Can I get a quick thumbs up or just a reaction of yes, so that I'll move on to the next query? Yes, great. So next question we'll try to understand. Okay, so there is a table which is called as transaction tables. Okay, so where we have certain columns, you can understand there is a date, right, which is created at, there is some value and a purchase ID. Now what we need to do, we need to calculate month over month percentage change in revenue, right? In even in practical purposes, like when you are dealing with some e-commerce data, sales data kind of thing, you need to calculate this month over month percentages changes, right? So they have given the requirement. What is the requirement? Output should change. Output should include in this format, year and month format, and they require that percentage change, and it should be rounded to second decimal point. And what is the other condition? Sorted from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Okay, another condition is percentage change column will be populated from the second month forward. Okay, what did they mention? The percentage column will be populated from second row. Okay, can anyone guess, to do this operation, can anyone tell me what would be the suitable one? Suitable
Lag.
operation?
Lag.
Lag. Right. So good that some are familiar with lag function. It is a window function. So you can use lag. So to calculate this, it's the simple calculation, right? This month revenue minus last month revenue divided by the last month revenue into 100. So this is how you can calculate month over month change, right? We'll try to implement in this particular data and see the output. Okay, so to calculate this particular change, we need to little, consider some conditions. First, what I'll do, I need to format that particular date. In which format? In this particular format. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll write a CTE for what? Monthly revenue. Okay, for monthly revenue, I'll write a CTE. You can, if you don't want to mention like these names, you can simply write CTE, CTE1 like that also. You can use it, not a problem. What I'll select? I'll select format. What I need to format? This created at date column. So I'll write created underscore at comma. Here I'll mention the date format YYY. Here I'll mention a double M format, right? So what I can do is I can create as year underscore month, right? This is the format, right? Year underscore month. So I'm trying to use the format function and trying to format it. Next, what do we want? Total revenue we want. How do we get total revenue? Sum of value column. What can we call this? Total underscore revenue. Okay, these two columns we want, that is fine. From which table? This particular SF underscore transactions. Okay, if you try to group that, will we get the output? No. Why? Because this is not present in group by. So with this, what we can understand, we need to use group by. Okay. So can I write year month in the group by? Anyone? Can I write year month in the group by? Will it work?
No, we need to do particular year, particular month.
Okay.
Separate.
So okay. So what I mean to ask is, can I use this alias's name in the group by?
No.
No. Why?
No,
Why?
it is not
Because it is
saved in the
derived, right?
table.
It is
Okay.
derived column.
Okay. The thing is, in the order of execution, select clause will come after the group by, right? After group by
Yes.
having at the last, you'll get select column. So you should mention the format function here in the group by. So now if you try to group by, you can see the output. What is the output? 2019, 1, 2, 3 months. This is the total revenue, right? So we are able to do a single part of it. What is this? Monthly revenue. Is this clear, everyone? Yes.
Yes.
Now I'll move ahead. Now what we'll do is we'll calculate revenue change. To write another CTE, you can write revenue underscore. Like you can give anything. I'll write revenue underscore change. I'll write as. So here what I want is, I want three things. One is year month. One is total revenue. Another one thing what I want to calculate the lag, right? Just we have discussed here, percentage change column. Okay, so we'll write that. I'll bring year month column, year underscore month, comma. I'll bring total revenue. Here what I'll do, I'll bring that lag. I'll write lag function. You can use anywhere. Lag of which column? Total revenue. Okay. I'll write over clause. What do we need to do?
Partition on year month.
Okay, we don't need partition because it is already aggregated one, right? I can just order by. Order by what? Year underscore month. Okay, partition you will be doing it if at all data is not aggregated, or if at all like you want to show in that partition, right? So it is already aggregated one. You do not require that. I can call it as my previous revenue. Can I call this previous revenue? Because I'm using lag, right?
Yes.
Okay. From which table? Where I am taking these columns
Monthly
from?
revenue.
Monthly revenue. I'll take it from monthly revenue. Okay. I'll close this. Now what I did, I just calculated the year, month, and total revenue here. And here by using lag function, by using the above CTE, I'm able to calculate the previous year revenue, right? Or you could say previous month revenue accordingly. Year, month revenue. Now what I'll do, what I need to write, I'll select year underscore month. I'll select total revenue. Now, can anyone tell me how to calculate? Okay, someone who doesn't know anything about calculation, you can just simply tell total revenue, total underscore revenue minus previous underscore revenue divided by previous revenue, previous underscore revenue, right? This is what how we calculate the change, right? Now you have to consider the null cases also. Okay, so I'll just little modify it, improvise it. You'll be able to understand. First, what I'm trying to do, I'll try to write a case when statement. I'll write case when my previous revenue, if it is null, then what I want null value. Else what I want this particular value. If my previous revenue is null, then I want null value. Else what I want to do this calculation. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just include the numerator in parenthesis and exclude the, or you could say include the other thing. This previous revenue, if you understand, I wanted to calculate in float. Can anyone tell me how to change the values into float?
Multiply with 1.0.
Multiply it 1.0. Earlier we did that. We'll use another method called as cast. We can cast it, right? We can use cast function. I can call it as float. We can do this, right? Or you can just multiply it 1.0. That is also fine. So I'll close the parenthesis, close the parenthesis of cast, close the parenthesis of other condition. Okay, so if you want like to get the percent in percentage terms, I'll write multiply with 100. Okay, now this is what we have done to calculate the percentage. Now, can anyone tell me how do I end my case statement? I have written case when else. I need to end my case statement, right? I can write end. This is how you'll write. You'll end the case statement, right? Case and when statement. You can end with end. Okay. So suppose this will be, your output will be in multiple decimals, right? How can we round it? Can I use round function? I can use round function. Right? This is my expression. I wanted to round it with 2 decimals. So I can enter 2 here, right? Comma 2. What did I do? Return a case statement. I wanted to round it off with for 2 decimals. So this is how I can round it. So the whole thing, I need to give some name, right? What I'll do, I'll give some name called percentage underscore change. Okay, so what is this percentage change? This is my third column which I'm trying to calculate. Okay, now can anyone tell me what is the column that I'm fetching from all these things? Or you could say table from, what is the table that I'm using to fetch all these things? You can see the output and will tell. What is the table name?
Revenue change.
Revenue change. Good. From revenue underscore change. So to order by the data, I can write order by year underscore month. Okay, if at all it is not ordered. So if I try to execute this query, although it seems lengthy, if you are able to understand the logic, okay, incorrect syntax near year month, line 58. Okay. So so here I need to write select, right? Without select, how it will work. So that such things happen, need not worry. Ignore these red lines because it is with respect to memory cache thing. Okay, so this is what your output is. This is your percentage change. This is how we can calculate month over month growth. Okay, is this logic understandable? How we are able to derive it and derive the revenue change? Everyone. So you can see that there is a lag here, and wherever there is null, we are able to get that null value. Everyone, is this logic understandable? Can I get a quick yes? Do anyone have any sort of doubts in this? So it is a common problem that you'll be executing most of the times, right? So okay, we'll move ahead with another question. Okay, so there is a this is a kind of Google related question. You can understand there are two tables called as friends and users. Okay, so I'll show the two tables. This is my user ID and this is my friend ID, right? And this is my user and ID and username. Okay, so like what you can do, you can join based upon the user ID and you can get the names and you can deal with one table also. But what is our task? Your task is to find mutual friends between two users. What are those users? These particular first and second users, Carl and Hans, right? Hans or Hans, you can call it as. Between Carl and Hans, we need to find who are the mutual friends. So there is only one user named Carl and one user named Hans in the data set. Okay, so need not worry. So there are user ID 1 and user ID 2. We need to find who are the mutual friends. For example, if you see for user ID 1, you have this 3 and 5 is the friend ID. For user ID 2, 3 and 4 is the 3 and 4 is the friend ID, right? So what is the common element? Common friend ID 3,
3.
right? So what is the third user? We can see here who is the third user? Emma, right? So now this by seeing the data we are able to see, because here there are only 10-15 rows. What if there are millions of rows, right? So that is why we need to execute the query. So our output should consist of our output should consist of user underscore ID and we need user name. Okay, do anyone want to try this? It is simple only, right? See, output also I told you, the output also. All you need to do is approach the logic and write a simple query. Anyone who is good? The one who was answering, I would request you to try. Is the person there or did he leave?
Yeah, there.
There. So please try. It is easy only. You can try it.
Yeah. Select user
Okay.
ID,
Select user
user
ID,
ID, comma friend ID from the
comma
friends
friend
table,
ID from. Okay.
friends
Now you.
table,
Okay. From friends
where
table where.
uh, okay, okay, I join with the other table, join. I remove, okay, friends, comma, I mean, inner join with the other table,
Okay.
users on the user ID,
Okay.
where user equal to,
User.
user name equal to Carl and Hans.
Is this what you want, right?
Yes. No, no, no. And I would get the user one records and user Carl records, and then I would
Okay. Let me execute this.
yes.
There is an ambiguous column in 84. So from which table do you want to take this user ID?
First table, friends.
Okay, friends table. That is fine. Now if I execute, You can see that, okay, we are not getting any output. So should I make any changes here? Okay, I'll write something like in operator. Right?
Okay. Yeah. Not end. Okay. Correct. Yeah. Just remove. Correct.
Okay,
We'll
I'm
get
just
both
trying
results.
it. We'll see. Will I still get the data? Okay, we are able
Yes.
to get this
Now. Yeah. So
1,
now.
2, 3, and 4. Okay, good.
Okay. Now we need to. Uh,
Now we need to find the mutual ones.
yes.
Good approach. Okay, now you are struck with the condition.
Correct. So okay. So now I can group uh, by user ID.
Okay, group by user
User
ID.
ID.
Which user ID? Which table user ID?
Friends dot user ID you can give,
Okay, friends dot user ID. Okay,
and having
having
and having uh, count of friend ID
count of friend ID
greater than 1.
greater than 1. Okay, so is it a suitable one? So anyway, both the count, both the people have, two friends, right? Count will be, anyway greater than 1 only.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, distinct of count ID greater than 1.
Okay, distinct of. So where do you want me put distinct? Select distinct friends
In
ID.
no, no, in the having clause only, in the to control Z,
Okay,
and
having
having
distinct.
distinct of count of friend ID greater than 1.
So you can write count like this. We'll write distinct, right?
No, no, no. The others way. The distinct should be outside of the count.
Okay, okay,
That's fine. That's fine. That is correct. That is correct.
okay. So I'll call it some CNT. Sorry,
Yeah.
we don't want it. Okay,
Uh,
it's
alias it greater than 1.
uh, greater than 1. Okay. So should I execute it? So friends dot friend ID is invalid.
Okay.
Line 84.
Hello. In line number 83, we can give no select a distinct friend ID and at 90 having count of friend ID greater than one.
Okay, okay. Like, could you like tell me what are the changes that you want to do here?
In
Remove distinct.
83, give the select 83 select a
Okay,
distinct friend ID
select
and
distinct
friend
friend
ID
ID. Okay,
and open the brackets.
okay, okay,
Okay. In the line number 92,
okay. From right.
from line number 93,
I'll give some name A. Subquery.
yeah, subquery. In line number 93, remove the distinct.
Okay, I'll remove the distinct. Okay, good approach. Okay, again, friends dot friend ID is invalid because it is not contained in the aggregate function. Oh, when will we use count? When we use that aggregate function in the select class, right? Okay, suppose that you are trying to do that count of friends also, for example. Okay, so will we able to execute it? No, one more error. Any other approach? Anyone?
Hi, Pawan.
Yes, yes.
So
Hi.
in whatever the selected fields we have selected in that one, we need to add those columns in group by also now. Like friend ID is not mentioned in
Uh-huh.
the group by.
Uh-huh. So of course we need to do that. Okay, let
I think
me
that is the
make.
error we are facing.
Okay, okay. Let me mention in the group by. Okay. Now can we execute?
And also from which table
You
we
see,
are
there is
taking,
no
there is also
friend
no
ID.
mention.
There is no friend ID. So from friends table only we are mentioning, right? By default, there is only friend ID. What happens is if there is unique column which is able to, which is like which we are able to recognize, then we need not specify the table name. User ID is present in both the tables, so we need to specify which table it is from. Otherwise, we do not require to specify.
Okay,
Okay,
understood.
okay. So this also won't work. Any other approach? Anyone? Okay, so yours it is a good approach only. One logic we are missing. Okay, so I would request you to think about it. Okay, I'll leave it for you how to figure out this. Okay, let me I'll remove this also. I'll just keep it till here. This was the output, right? Now from this output, okay, the person who has told this particular answer, I would request you to work on this method where how can you fetch that particular same IDs, right? I will show you another method how you can fetch it easily by making different CTEs. Okay, so why I prefer CTEs is more readable, more understandable. So what I'll do, I'll fetch friend ID, friend underscore ID from which table? Friends table, right? Where my user underscore ID is equal to, I'll write a subquery. What is my subquery? Select user underscore ID from users table where user underscore name is equal to Carl, right? So now if you execute, what will you get? You'll get those friend
Carl and
IDs, those friend
then
IDs
do an intersection.
for the username Carl. Now can I do the same thing for Hans?
Yeah, and then intersect for median.
So what I'll do is, okay, instead of union, I'll use join only. You see how I'll try to do that. So if you execute this, what I'll get? I'll get the friend IDs of Hans. So let me make it as a CT. I'll write with, I'll just write as CT as, I'll make this particular query one CTE, right? And I'll make this another CT. I'll write CT1. Okay. You can get CT1, CT2 also, not a problem. So I made this as two different CTEs. Or let me give some proper name. What is this? Carl friends. Okay. And what is this? Hans friends.
And friends.
I'll write as, and then we can write it, right? Now after this, what do we need, right? Select. I want user. Okay. From users table, I want user ID. From users table, I want user name, right? From users, what I'll do, I'll join Carl friends. I'll call it as maybe KF. On what basis? KF dot friend ID is equal to users dot user ID. Okay. Again, I'll join Hans friends. I'll call it as HF. On what? HF dot friend ID is equal to users dot user ID. Now we'll try to execute that. You see the Emma, we are able to get the output. What did I do? I took the friends of both the particular, Carl and Hans. Okay, now I am trying to fetch the user ID and username from the users table only. I'm trying to join this particular, friends which I brought from the Carl friends as well as Hans friends with the help of friend ID and user ID. Am I right? Okay,
Yes.
now you might get confused. Why did you join, friend ID and user ID? Now you can tell me this particular here, whatever the friend ID is there, that is the user ID here, right? Okay, so if I am getting the third friend, it means that she is the user, right? So I can join based upon that also, so that I could get this name. Is it understandable, everyone? How we are able to approach? So okay, till this basic these two simple queries, you might feel it easy. This is where the simple logic that you'll be missing. Am I right, everyone? Is there anyone who is not able to understand this logic? I'll explain you again. What did I do for the users table? I'm trying to join Carl friends as well as Hans friends based upon the IDs, nothing else. Anyone who is able to not understand this, please feel free to ask. Or can I get a quick, quick yes or thumbs up so that I could, move ahead? Everyone. Okay, people are leaving. Others are able to follow? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we shall understand one more question, which would be a little interesting, which is asked in Uber. Okay. You can understand this, question. There is some, table, just like an, simple table. You can understand. There is a request ID, request date. Can you explain the join part again? Okay. So what did we do? Let me go back. What did we do? We have this particular, okay, this join part, right? What are we trying to join? We are trying to inner join, right? We have user IDs, we have user names. Now we are trying to inner join Carl friends. In Carl friends, who are the friends? 3 and 5, right? And in Hans friends, we have 3 and 4, whatever, the two friends are there. So if you see both the tables, let me explain you. So what is the IDs? Maybe let me execute this. 3 and 5, right? So Carl friends, you can understand 3 and 5 are the IDs. 3, 5 are the IDs. If I execute this Hans friends, 3 and 4 are the IDs. What are the IDs? 3, 4. Now if I run this users table, okay, now you try to understand this users table. Okay, so you understand this. From the users table, what I'm trying to do? Inner join. So when I try to inner join, how many rows it will join? Wherever there are matching rows for this user ID with respect to these friends. So they are those friends also, they are users only, right? So the data which is friend ID, they are also users only. So for this user table, they are the user IDs. Friend ID is nothing but user ID for this username user table. So that is the reason why I'm trying to join. When I do the inner join, matching rows will be the respective output. So you can see that both the tables to be to show the same condition. What is the common output? Number 3. That is the reason why inner join will show you only third ID, which is Emma. Is this understandable now? Shardul? Yes. Okay. Don't mind if I'm not able to pronounce your name correct. Okay. So we'll understand another question where we have this particular table. Okay, some log data we have where we have some request ID, request date, and request status, some distance to travel, what is the monetary cost, and driver to client, how much distance we have, right? So there is some what is the question we'll understand. Some forecasting methods are extremely simple and surprisingly effective. Okay. Naive forecast is one of them. If you understand machine learning, like if you studied any machine learning, you can understand that naive Bayes theorem and all those things, right? So, okay, you can go through that. To create a naive forecast for distance per dollar, what do we want to calculate? Distance per dollar. defined as distance to travel divided by monetary cost. What is this? Distance per dollar, or you could say distance to travel divided by monetary cost. First, sum the distance to travel and monetary cost values monthly wise. Then this will give the actual value of the current month, right? For the forecasted value, use previous month's value. What do we need to do? For forecasted value, we need to use previous month value. After obtaining actual and forecasted values, calculate root mean squared values, or you could say root mean squared error. If you don't know what is root mean squared error, if at all someone is into data science, they'll be able to understand easily. Root mean squared error is how you will be like considering a metric for regression analysis. Okay, so this root mean squared error is nothing but, let me show you some image. Suppose that, okay, suppose that there is this particular linear line, and there will be different data points. Just like this, if you see, there will be different data points, right? So there will be some distance where there will be some error, right? So if at all you are trying to predict something, so this could be your x value, and this could be your y value. And the point, for example, this is my data point, and just let me show you some exact point. Okay, suppose that consider this point, this will be your actual y value, and when it predicts based upon the line, this will be your okay, this is your predicted, okay, this is your actual value distance with respect to the data point. This is your predicted value. So from predicted and actual, there is some difference. Even you take any data point, from actual and prediction, there will be some difference. The difference, it is called as error, right? Or you could call it as residue and something. So to deal with that as a metric, so we calculate something called root mean square error. Okay, so root mean square error, we have a function formula. If you see this formula, what is this formula? You can take this formula, right? Root of 1 divided by n sigma of difference between the data point and the mean. Okay, so this is the formula. Actually, we can implement in our SQL also, not a problem. I'll show you just how to calculate. Is this root mean square error understandable, like what it is, at least to some extent? Anyone? Yes? Can I get a quick yes if it is understandable? Virendra, are you able to understand? Everyone is silent. Okay. Okay, I got some thumbs up. Okay, thank you. So what do we need to do? We are trying to calculate root mean square error round to 2 decimal places. Okay. So I hope you understood this. What do we need to do? Okay. First is we need to calculate year month, and then we need to do sum of distance to travel. Okay. So if you understand this, in this particular requested date, okay, how much, like what are the characters do you have, right? You can understand. Okay, this is request date, right? I'll show you something called cast and convert style. Okay, so I'll show you cast and convert in SQL Server, so you'll be able to understand some format. Okay, suppose you want to understand more detail about convert. Okay, if you see this, there are different formats, right? What is the format? Like for each country, there will be different formats. So if you see this ODBC canonical, you have the format which is our 120 or 120. Okay. So this is your 24-hour format where our data is present in such format with respect to this data. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to little convert to year month. What I'll do, I'll write it, select class, select I can write something called convert. Okay, so I need to provide the target data type. So this is in date time, right? What I'll do, I'll convert into character data type. I'll give some size of 7. Okay. Next, what I'll do, I'll give the expression. What is our expression? Request date is our column. I need to provide some date style. What is the date style? 120 is our date style. I'll call it as something called year underscore month. Why did I convert? I wanted to use it, with respect to that particular calculation. So I am trying to convert into that format. Okay. So next, what do we want? We want to calculate the total distance. So I'll write sum of distance underscore to underscore travel. I'll call it as total underscore distance. Right. Next, what we can calculate? Sum of monetary underscore cost. We can call it as total underscore cost. Okay, so what is the table name? From Uber underscore request underscore logs. Okay, so this is our table. Let us calculate it. Will we be able to calculate? No, right? So we need something called group by. What is the group by? Group by this convert function. We can use this particular convert function. When we'll execute this, we are able to see that year month wise total distance and total cost values, right? So this is how we'll try to group by. Let us make it as a CTE. I'll write monthly aggregate as, and I'll enclose it within parenthesis. Okay, so this is my first CTE. I'll create similarly another CTE to calculate distance per dollar. I'll write distance per dollar as, which is my another CTE. I'll write select year underscore month, comma. What is the calculation that I want? Distance per dollar, right? So total distance divided by total cost. That is my distance per dollar, right? As distance per dollar. Okay, so after this, there is one thing which is left. Okay, can anyone tell me from which table are we able to calculate this? What is the table? This respective CTE, right? The monthly aggregate CTE, we are trying to calculate the respective year, month, and total, distance per dollar values. Now what I'll do, I'll create one more CTE, right? Initially, what did I do? I did group the values, calculated these two columns based upon year, month. Then using the total distance and total cost, I'm able to calculate distance per dollar. And again, I'm making it as a different CTE. I'll create one more CTE. I'll use it as name underscore forecast. I'll call it as, here what do I want? I want 3 different columns. One is my year, month. One is my year, month. Second one is my distance per dollar, right? Which we have calculated in the second CTE. What is the third one which we want? We can use lag function in order to calculate that forecasted value. Okay, so I'll use lag. Just like earlier function, like earlier problem when we calculated month-on-month revenue, here also we can do calculate the same thing. Distance per dollar, I'll write comma 1, or even if you don't mention 1, that will work fine, right? I'll write over clause. What I need to order by? Order by year underscore month. No need to do the partition by because it is not required. So I'll call it as forecasted value. Okay, from which table? Distance per dollar. Okay, so I hope you're able to understand this. This is what you can call it as year, month, distance per dollar, and this is the lag values where you are able to calculate according to the forecasted value. right? So once you get all these things, what do we need to do? Anyone? Anyone? What do we need to calculate actually in the table? Root mean squared error. What did I do first? I calculated total distance, total cost. I calculated distance per dollar, and then I have calculated forecasted value, right? Once it is done, you can write a function, like set of functions to calculate that root mean squared error. Okay, I'll just use we'll be using this naive forecast table. That is what, our main table that we'll be using it. Okay, so I'll just mention these functions, how to calculate it. First calculation, what it is, we need to subtract this particular distance per dollar minus forecasted value, right? Distance per dollar minus forecasted underscore value. Now what I'll do, I'll enclose within parentheses. I need to square it, right? How to square it? I can use power function. I can enter comma 2, right? So when I square it and I need to apply that average, right? So if you see the function, I'll able to will be able to see that square root of sigma mean minus data point whole square divided by n, and we are applying the square root. What I'll do, I'll try to use average function to average the values, right? And I'll just enclose within the bracket. Once we average it, we need to find the square root, right? I can use this sqrt function in order to just do the square root. So what did we do? We squared it, averaged it, and again we are able to square root it to find the root mean squared error, right? And to round it off, you can just simply use round function. At the end, what you can do, round it off to 2 decimal places. This is how you can calculate the root mean squared error using our functions in SQL Server, right? And like if at all if at all you miss any parentheses, you can try it out. I can call it as root mean squared error, right? And there is one single condition which is left. This forecasted value shouldn't be null value, right? Where my forecasted value is not null. Okay, so here we are able to finish our query regarding this calculation. Now let us try to execute the whole big query which we have written till this particular with class. If you see this, okay, there are certain errors that you can fix it. First is line 134. Okay, so distance per dollar. What did we miss? A single comma, we have missed it. Next in line 139. Okay, here there is we didn't miss anything, right? Let us solve it. And in 147, power function requires 2 arguments. So this is one argument. This is another argument, right? We are able to enter it correctly only. So here what do we need to do? We need to put another parenthesis so that it will be able to understand it better. Now if you try to execute, right, such minor mistakes while typing you would also make it. What is the root mean squared error? 2.34, which represents it is little negligible error only. Okay, so this is how you can calculate the naive forecast value, and then you can calculate the root mean squared error. Okay, may I know how many are able to understand it? Anyone who is able to understand it, or anyone who is not able to understand this completely, please feel free to ask. Virendra, are you able to follow?
Yeah, I have some internet issue. I rejoined again. Yeah, but yes.
Okay, so what did we do is we calculated total distance, total cost. Using that, we have calculated distance per dollar. And again, using the lag function, we have calculated the forecast value. So using our root mean squared error function, using all the basic functions, we are able to calculate that root mean squared error value. And again, just as a caution, you can make sure that forecasted value is not null, right? Okay, so these are the queries that we have planned to discuss today. And thank you everyone for attending the session. If you have any further queries, you can feel free to ask in the group. We'll be
One
happy to
question.
help.
So,
Yes,
okay, so
please.
as part of this course, is like, so you covered this advanced SQL or Windows Finder functions or queries, right? What kind of course covers this? Like, so
Okay,
I mean,
with respect to course, actually, we'll be covering the topics holistically. But again, with respect to problems, like my part as a part of training, it would be to detailedly make you understand all the concepts in a better way and help you practice with the help of some case studies. But again, gradually, like you have to continuously practice. So this would be your curriculum. So till here, we'll be covering some intermediate level of basic to intermediate level of SQL, and then I will be covering from intermediate to advanced level of SQL till here, right? Subqueries, CTEs, views, temporary tables, stored procedures, window functions, indexes, computed columns, transactions, pivoting, unpivoting cursors. Last topic would be your triggers and other thing. At the end, we'll discuss some case studies accordingly based upon feasibility, right?
okay, okay.
So I hope it is for maybe 2 to 3 years experience or even few years experience, these functions, or I could say these things in SQL Server will be helpful. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So is the course one, or is it divided to basic SQL and advanced SQL things, or
Okay.
things like that?
Okay. It is course one only, only completely. It is only one single course, not separated. But again, like I have to balance both beginners as well as the experienced ones, so
Okay.
that things could be balanced, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. And if you have any specific requirements, please do talk to Sai Karthika. She'll be able to assist you.
Yeah. Sure.
Sure, sure. So you can ping the number in WhatsApp, or else you can take it in the chat box. Okay. Any other queries,
Sure.
anyone? Okay. If no,